I'm an entrepreneur who owns two businesses, and I get a lot done. And I don't care about productivity. It is not important to me. If you're like, what are you even talking about? We're going to get into it today. If you're new here, my name is Cera. I'm a certified life and business coach. I help heart centered service providers, spiritual practitioners, and creatives build the lives and businesses of their dreams using a blend of science backed coaching and intuitive alchemy. So, what do I mean when I say I don't care about productivity? This blows people's minds. I'm frequently around a lot of like dude bro entrepreneurs and people who are like really hype on the idea of productivity. And I tell them what I did today and they're like, oh, wow, you were really productive. Or they talk about like, oh, got to be productive. I hear that all the time. And maybe you're in this too, right? People are looking up life hacks. How do I be more productive? How do I increase my productivity? And I love watching their brains break when I say, productivity is not a value for me. It's not something that I value. I don't find it important. People are like, what do you mean? And I can tell that it's almost like they're abrasive to them to consider the idea of someone who is successful and does a lot of things, but doesn't think of productivity as being a value. And so here's what I'll say. And this might feel like being pedantic, but the nuance of it is important to me. I have no interest in productivity. I am very interested in being prolific. Now, I'm a creative person. I'm an artist. The idea of being prolific, of generating a lot of creative work, of pouring out of myself, of creating a high volume of beautiful things in the world, that is something I care about very much. But the idea of being productive, right? Just getting things done for the sake of getting things done, that is not a value for me. It's not something I'm interested in. It's not something I judge myself or measure myself by. We're going to get a little anti-capitalist here, but the idea that your primary goal and function as a human being, as a spiritual being incarnated into a physical vessel here to live your one, as far as we know, life on earth, that your goal is to always either be producing something or consuming something is yucky to me. I'm just not into it. I don't find it enjoyable or sexy, and so I opt out. I'm not interested in that. My value has nothing to do with how productive I am, how many things I can check off a list, how many things I can get done in a day just to say I did them. I'm not interested in busy work. I'm not interested in measuring my time or my worth by how many things I get done. Blech. Not about it. Doesn't feel fun to me, doesn't feel enjoyable, also doesn't feel like the highest, best use of my gifts, of my talents, of my calling. The best thing that I can say about it is that being productive feels like external pressure, and being prolific feels like an overflowing of internal desire and motivation. When I'm prolific, it's because there's so much inside me that I feel inspired to get it out. I feel inspired to share it. I feel inspired to connect with people. I feel inspired to sell to people because I want more people to experience my work. I feel inspired to write music and create dances. I feel inspired to spend time with my friends. I feel inspired to send off that email. I feel inspired to call my family and check in. I'm not doing anything because I feel external pressure to move through a to-do list and check things off so that I can point to it and say, yes, I'm good. Not interested in that at all. And when I move from desire instead of pressure, my joy in the doing changes. The same amount of things may get done. In fact, I would guess more things get done because for me, I don't know about for you, but for me, when I have a lot of pressure to do things on a list because I'm supposed to do them, what happens inside me is rebellion. I am a very rebellious person, maybe have a little bit of pathological demand avoidance for my neurodivergent baddies. If you tell me I have to, I'm like, ew, don't want to, not interested, want nothing to do with it. I don't want to do that today. There's other things I want to do today. Now I'm being forced to do something I don't want to, so I'm going to drag my heels. I'm going to be resistant. I'm going to do it in a slog. I don't have as much of my brain available to do it. Yucky, don't like it. If I am inspired to do something, I'm excited, it's joyful, it's fun for me to do, I have more creativity on board and available to do it, I'm in a better mood, the doing of it feels more enjoyable and it gives me energy versus taking energy away from me. And there is never a great time to feel like you're depleted of energy as you slog through an endless task list. Everything always gets done. It all finds a way to get done. If there are deadlines, of course, there are sometimes times in my life where I have to do things according to an external deadline versus just purely on desire. I live in the world. But the more I can spend my time focused on which of these things on the giant list of things that I would like to accomplish would I like to do right now? What feels inspiring to do right now? What feels exciting to do right now? What feels motivating to do right now? And I choose those things. Eventually, everything always gets done. And what's more important for me is that the doing of it feels good. There's a big difference between things that don't feel great to do, but you're glad afterward that you did them. You just had like a slog of a day to get through them and you're like, oh, okay, I did it. I guess I can feel good that I did it, but I hated that day. Versus I loved doing all these things all day and I'm glad that I did them. Number 2 is a better day to me. I think at its core, this comes back to a very fundamental way that I live my life, and it's about being close to mortality. And I know that might feel a little bit morbid, but I do feel like so many of us live like we have forever to be on this planet, and we really don't. So the idea that you'll give up liking today in the hopes that tomorrow will be better is only good if you feel guaranteed tomorrow. But what if you're not? I hate to say it this way, but like, what if you choke on a chicken bone at lunch? Cancel, release, knock on wood. Let's not have that happen. But that would mean that this morning you spent slogging through shit you don't want to do just to say that you did it was your last morning on earth and you didn't enjoy it, which is totally different than if you got knocked out at lunch. Again, cancel, release, knock on wood. But you had a morning spent doing work that you were loving doing, that you felt joy and excitement to be doing, that you enjoyed the process of. Then your last morning on earth was spent doing something enjoyable for you. And to me, that is the key to living well, to living a life where you love your life right now today and you feel inspired by your life right now today. Now, I can already feel the pushback. There are going to be some of you who are like, yeah, well, it's easy for you to say that because you're already established in your business. I did not adopt this way of working and this philosophy once I was already established in my business. I adopted it to get established in my business. And before I operated like this, everything was harder. I wasn't making as much money. I doubted myself all the time. I really felt like if I didn't make myself do things, things would not get done. And I was in a constant battle with all the things I felt like I should be doing. And you know what? It turns out that's not a great energetic place to make the basis of your success. Thinking that you're going to build a business like that and shift into ease later doesn't usually work. We want to start from the beginning with believing I will be able to build a successful business following my own inspiration, my own intuition, my own desire. I trust that everything is going to get done and I don't have to make myself do not anything, but many things. There are only probably like a handful of things a year that I have to make myself do, like taxes, right? But even then, and this is where we get into some of that energetic alchemy, I do have the ability to shift most of the time how I feel about doing something and bring myself into a state of greater enjoyment in the doing of the thing. And I get to make that a priority. I get to make pleasure in the doing a priority. So if I have to do tax stuff, am I going to do it at a fancy cafe where I get a delicious beverage and afterwards I get a really good lunch? How can I make it more enjoyable? How can I make myself more excited about doing it? I do get to go inside and work with myself through resistant or stagnant energy and see if I can bring myself to a place of more enjoyment, more excitement, even more acceptance around doing a task rather than being in a place of shut down. I don't want to, this doesn't sound good to me, where I'm going to fight it the whole way through. So even if all I'm doing is changing my inner game and my inner perspective on the task at hand before I do it, that to me is time well spent. That to me is really valuable, more valuable than just getting through it and checking it off and saying, okay, I did it. I just don't want to live that way. And so for me, this is what I mean when I say I'm not interested in productivity. I am interested in being prolific. I would love to know what your thoughts are about this. If this kind of blew your mind and made you think differently about things, please let me know. You can leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you're interested in working with me, I do have a few spots available right now to work with people one-on-one in life or business coaching. I have packages ranging from month to month, no commitment, all the way up to working together for a year. I'm going to put 2 links in the show notes. One is to my website. You can go look at all of my different programs and offerings and see what feels right for you. The other is just a link to book a call with me. It's not a sales call. It's just a 15-minute check-in chat where you can tell me what's going on for you and what you need support with. If I feel like I'm the right coach for you and I feel like I can help you, I will tell you so. I'll tell you what programs are available and you can make the decision that's best for you. If I don't feel like I'm the right coach for you and I don't feel like I can help you, I will always tell you that. And wherever possible, if I can refer you to someone who I think would be a better fit, I have a pretty great network, so I will always try to refer you to someone who may be a better fit if I don't think it's me. So yeah, I would love to hear from you in the comments if this was helpful for you. And if you would like to work together, I would love to invite you into working with me one-on-one. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, love you. Bye.